Okay, I guess we are live. I'm Chris Epting, music journalist and author, and I'm back again with my friend, rock and roll legend, Hall of Famer, man of so many talents, Dave Mason. Dave, how are you today?
I'm good, Chris.
We have another really cool show here today. This has become like our little talk show series. We have an amazing special guest we're going to get to in a minute. But Dave, before anything, yesterday was George Harrison's birthday. Before we get into things today, you've talked. I mean, it's fact that George Harrison once credited you in an interview for sort of showing him how to play slide guitar, which got him into that. But you guys had a really special moment in 1967 when he brought you over to his house and played you an advanced copy of Sgt. Pepper before the world had heard it. What do you remember about that night?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what was it like for you when he led you back in the house and played you this record?
He was down in Esher.
Mm-hmm.
House in Esher was on a golf course, kind of a bungalow. But yeah, I was down the city. He was like, you want to hear the new album? It's like, yeah, absolutely, of course, yes, absolutely. So after we, smoked significant amounts of hashish, he puts on Sgt. Pepper, which of course at that point was like, well, fuck, that changes the game right there. And so, yeah.
I can't imagine. You guys are at that point building the first Traffic record, and now the stakes get a little bit higher. I imagine when you hear Sgt. Pepper, right?
Well, I think we'd already done the first one. I think.
Well, you were in the middle of it. A lot of it was recorded.
It's done and it was ready to come out. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was just
Well, listen, we want to bring in a friend of yours and an amazing musician unto himself. We're going to talk, of course, all about your reimagining of Alone Together, which is called Alone Together Again, your classic album reproduced with today's band. And one of the guys who was instrumental literally plays on the record. His name is John McFee. John McFee, of course, has been a member of the Doobie Brothers now for about 40 years or so. But before that, he had many other musical careers in a band called Clover, playing with everybody from the Grateful Dead to Steve Miller to Van Morrison and so many others. John, are you here today now? Are you in? Here we go.
I am here.
John,
reporting for duty. Thank you. Good
John,
to be here.
When Dave, what was it like? I don't know, 1970. Do you remember when Alone Together came out? Were you a fan of the record? Did you, were you into Dave Mason's music back then?
Yeah, I was already a fan from, Traffic. And then when Alone Together came out, it was like, I remember, I actually can picture, I was in a house in Marin County in San Anselmo when I first heard the record, and I can see the turntable, the vinyl and everything. I remember the first time I heard it. That's how impressed I was, because I went, oh, that's a cool guitar sound, and I like the way he's using vibrato and stuff like that. So it was definitely, and just so many great songs. It was, I think, if you weren't influenced by that, you probably weren't a musician. So.
Well, I mean, it's funny because you guys, your lives have crossed over the years. We were saying before we went on live today, I remember being in high school in 1978, a concert at the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, Long Island. It was Dave Mason was the headliner, and then I believe Bob Welsh and Clover, your band Clover. Clover opened. I mean, people that don't know Clover, you really should check out Clover releases, because it was Huey Lewis on lead vocals, John on guitar, other members that went on to become the News with Huey Lewis. But you guys really were an incredible band and very well respected. So you and Dave had kind of intertwined back. Yeah. What's it like now to have been contributing to the new version of Alone Together with Dave?
Well, I was totally honored, of course, for Dave Mason to say, "Hey, John, you want to play on this track?"
Did you get the check, by the way?
What check? Did I send the check? Did you say? How much did I have to pay to play on that? No, it was a great honor, of course. Dave, we've become friends. Through the years. Just playing a lot of shows with whatever band I'm in, and with Dave. And
it was back a while.
I mean, there was great clips when Dave toured with the Doobie Brothers not too long ago. You would come out on certain nights, and play on. There was a great clip on YouTube of you playing on Dear Mr. Fantasy. I think it's always fun to watch those things happen.
These guys would come out nearly every night. It was crazy. I was like, wow, okay, well, sure, if you want.
It started with I would come out and watch their whole show every night until I had to go back and get ready for. I better go get ready for what's going to be going on. And I'm an audience guy for Dave Mason.
I mean, there were times I think when I had about nearly half the band up there.
Yeah, you did. Maybe more than half.
If people want to check out, by the way, what we're talking about, if you go to davemasonmusic.com, you can order your own copy of Alone Together Again. And the CD looks like the swirly vinyl from 1970. You've got vinyl coming out, which is fun. You guys also collaborated a few months ago on a new version of Feeling All Right, which was pretty incredible, too. It was one of these quarantine videos, but it was a special one because it wasn't just Dave, John, it was you, it was the rest of the Doobie Brothers. It was an incredible collaborative effort that gave this song a whole new life. What was that like?
Yeah, that was what John was, I mean, without him, his involvement, frankly, putting it together would not have been as seamless, actually, as it turned out to be. Because it was very easy the way it came together with Mick, Fleetwood, John, and Pat, and Tommy, and Sammy Hagar, and Michael McDonald. So putting all those...
I've got to say, when Dave called me about it and to kind of enlist me, he already had the vision. He knew exactly who he wanted in it. He said, I want you guys doing background vocals and playing whatever you want, Doobie Brothers. But I want McDonald to be the foundation with his keyboard part. I want him to sing a verse, and I want Sammy to sing a verse, Sammy Hagar, and Mick on drums. Dave had it all planned out. So I'll take plenty of credit, but, he's the artist.
Well, it was a vision of what I was hoping it would be, but the mechanics of getting it all together.
You know what, guys? On that note, we have great questions from some listeners today. Rod S. wanted to know, and this is for either one of you, when each of you sit in with other musicians to play songs from their catalogs, are you generally trying to stay true to the original tune, or trying to bring a new perspective, new approach to an older cut?
Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I mean, John has more experience in this arena because he plays on God knows how many people's things. My stuff goes back a long time. I mean, I would if I'm working on a tune with somebody that's their tune. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably be sticking pretty close to what they're doing.
How about you, John?
I mean, if it's a new song, that's a different thing. I mean,
yeah. When I'm working like with Dave on his song or with other artists, if it's a song that everybody already knows, it's an established hit or whatever, at the very least, I have to be respectful of what made it a hit and try to, maybe not play exactly the parts from the record or whatever, but respect them and carry the spirit of what was there that people, that resonates with people. Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't interject your own. If you have some ideas, which I try to have, I try to put them in.
That's, to me, what makes a Doobie Brothers show so much fun, is you've got so many recognizable songs, but you guys don't seem to do them the same way night to night. You're always kind of improvising and playing off each other depending on the mood of the moment. And I think to watch a Doobie show just for that reason, is no two are ever really the same.
Yeah, we try to keep it. It's not just about amusing ourselves, but it's to keep it exciting or interesting for the listeners, for the audience. But there's a lot to music. Spontaneity is an important element, I think.
Here's another question from Craig B. This is one of Dave's super fans. To John. John, I first saw you in Clover back in 1978 in Boston, but do you remember the first time you ever saw Dave play live? And wouldn't you agree he is one of rock's most underrated guitarists?
Wow, the first time I saw Dave live. God, that's a tricky one. That's hard to say. It was probably pretty early on when Dave was doing, in his solo touring.
Yeah,
but I don't remember the exact date. But
early '70s, Clover played with the Dave Mason Group a few times. Dave Mason band.
Yeah, but I would agree, Dave. I mean, for all of Dave's success, I think that the questioner there has a good point. That Dave, I see these world's 100 greatest guitarist lists and things like that, and we have to admit it's arbitrary. But Dave is a great player and a great singer, and I think sometimes people get skipped over because they've been successful, and it's like, oh, well, he doesn't need to be on this list. I don't know what the logic is, but it's like, but Dave should be on the list of great guitar players. Absolutely.
Great. Camille W asked, this is a good question. Have either of you ever been off tour this long before in your musical career? And does having this time off inspire you to collaborate with other musicians you never had a chance to play with?
You first, Dave.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't been had this much time off.
You've been on tour since 1967. I mean, you've really,
pretty much. But
I haven't been home this much since I was a young teenager.
Right,
Seriously, I have never been off the road this long, not even close. So It's amazing.
But it has created these opportunities, right?
Well, the way, I mean, you can't, when you say collaborate with other people, actually getting together has been impossible. I mean, John on the Funeral Right Thing at least was able to have Michael over at the studio there because they lived that far away.
It was in the moment.
But the weird thing about doing that whole thing with everybody is that if it hadn't have been for COVID, that would have probably never happened.
Yeah, it has actually. I've been busier. I mean, when the Doobies aren't touring and I'm off the road, I do a lot of session work, but I've been busier than I've ever been. I've been nonstop. I don't think there's been one day that I haven't spent hours working on something in the studio because of this situation. And today I was on a phone call with my friend Chris Thompson from Manfred Mann, the guy that was the lead singer on Blinded by the Light.
Sure.
I'm working on a song with him. He's in Belgium. We did a FaceTime call today to talk about the arrangement. And so there's things like that are going on that would not be happening probably if it weren't for this lockdown situation.
Russ wanted to know, he says, Dave, I love you and Alone Together is my top 5 all-time LPs of all time. To John, how would you describe your time in Clover, my all-time favorite band? Saw you many times with Arlene Carter, Elvis Costello, Southern Pacific, and the Doobies. Once had a tape with you in Norton Buffalo. But how do you summarize your time in Clover?
Yeah, it's torture. No, wait. No, it was. I think it was one of the. Like we were talking about before. I believed in the band. We all believed in our little team, right? And so it was like a family, and it was. We had so much fun, but we were the perennial opening act. We were opening for Dave. We were opening for Thin Lizzy. We were opening for everybody, Leonard Skinner. We never were the headliner. And but so on that level, it was a certain amount of like, God, we got to get to that next level. But we had a lot of fun trying to get there, and it was a great experience. And I learned a lot. And what can I say? They're great guys. They're like family still.
There's a guy named Rich Campbell who says, I've been crazy lucky to have worked with both of you. My question to John is,
Richie Campbell.
At the McCabe's gig, to John, at McCabe's gig, you played a pedal steel guitar while singing and just slayed it. How do you pitch both things at once? Do you tune voice to pedal steel or pedal steel to voice? You made it look easy.
Well, those are very kind words, and I appreciate that. But I don't know how to describe it. But I've for most of my life, I've been playing non-fixed pitch instruments, whether it's pedal steel or violin or all these things. Where if you're slightly off, it sounds really bad. And it's the same thing is true, as Dave knows, with singing. You gotta if it is not in tune, it's like a bad situation all around. So, but singing while playing pedal steel, you just have to be focused all around. You know, I don't know what to call it. It's a multitasking set of mind that's required just to play pedal steel, for one thing.
Right.
But you know, but adding a vocal to that, it's like just another element in a way. But the focus, it's you got to stay on both for sure.
By the way, I want to give a shout out to where I'm today, where I live, Huntington Beach. Dave used to play a club called the Golden Bear in the 80s. He was a perennial there. People still talk about his shows at the Golden Bear right by the ocean. It's no longer there. John, you went to Huntington Beach High School. You went to the Golden Bear growing up, right?
Yeah, I used to go see like Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee and Steve Gillette and Ian and Sylvia folk acts and blues and all the stuff that was back in that era. Back in the like mid 60s.
Everybody played there.
Yeah. It was really cool.
Dave, question for you. From Terry W. What do you use for a home guitar amp?
Well, right here. Well, at the moment, I mean, I'm sort of in a temporary home.
Right.
We're very fortunate that I have a place in Hawaii. But this is where we have been sitting out the COVID thing. But so I have some studio stuff that I had to dismantle from our house in Reno and pack it up, put it in cases, have it sent over here. So I have a little studio I work with, and that's what I have here. But
is there one amp that you've got at home that you use more than others?
I'm just using a little Fender Champ is all I have here, or I'm using the plugins in Pro Tools, which all this time off has given me more than anything that I've been doing is actually trying to get a little deeper into Pro Tools. And, John's got all that stuff down. But this guy truly is multi-talented, multi-talented. Right?
I'll give you that $5 later, Dave, for the compliments.
You guys, there was a comment today from I think the head of Live Nation talking about his feeling that he felt like substantial touring could resume in July. How anxious are both of you guys to be back on the road right now?
Well, although I'm kind of enjoying this, playing and working in my studio, but no, I need to get back to. I need to get back out there and who knows how many more I've got in me for one thing. So getting back out there would be great. I've got a couple of things that I'm working on that I wanted to see if I can pull off later.
Prizes. I've heard rumors.
Right, little collaboration things. And then there's a documentary that we'll see how that goes. And then, of course, you and I got to finish the book, Mr. Epting.
Working on Mr. Mason's book.
It's out there listening also in Doobie Brothers' book. So he's got his hands in the pie here, both of us.
John, what about for you? You guys have a big 50th anniversary tour with Michael McDonald. You've got to be sort of champing at the bit to get out with that, right? Big show.
Well, definitely. We were really looking forward to it, and having Michael back, and 2000, it was 2020 was supposed to be this fantastic year for us because Michael was coming back to do a 50th anniversary tour. We got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and so it ended up being, a kind of a non-event, the virtual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, and no tour yet, but sometime, we're still planning on it. But I do miss. And in some ways, I'm a little surprised how much I miss actually getting in front of an audience. But more than that, in some ways, I miss seeing the guys and actually playing in person live with my buddies, with my mates. And I've never been away from it for so long. So that's why I say I'm maybe a little surprised that I'm going. I miss that, because it's work to get on the road. The travel is hard and stuff like that. I don't miss that so much, but I miss kind of seeing our fans and seeing the band and getting in front of an audience and
John
playing
Oates
with the
told
guys.
me, said, John Oates, he looks at that part, he says, you know what? I'll play for free. You're paying me to travel.
Yeah, you pay me to the house is what you're paying for. Music's free.
Hey, John, here's a question from Diane in Tucson. John, she has a quote from you where you said once, I never really wanted to be famous. I just wanted to make some good music. She wants to know, does that statement still ring true today? And what's it like to work a producer with Carlene Carter and versus writing with her? What's that experience like as a producer, writer for you with other artists?
Okay. Well, yeah, as far as the fame thing, I do feel the same way still. I really don't care about it. It's like it's okay if it's there. It's its own entity. Fame is in other people's eyes. Mm-hmm. To me, it's like I don't even think about it. It's like I just want to get better as a player, and as a songwriter, whatever. The musical aspects of my life are way more important to me than any kind of recognition for them. So that's always been true, and it still is, absolutely. And going on from there, as far as like when I get to work as a producer, like with Carlene or whatever, it's a real responsibility, but I welcome it because I wouldn't even say yes if I didn't think I could deliver, something that the artist could be proud of or feel good about. So I have at least, as insecure as I might be, I have enough confidence to enter in, if I'm going to enter into one of those situations, to feel like that I have something that maybe I can contribute to make something cool happen with that artist.
Hey, David K. wanted to know for both of you guys, what are one or two songs you most look forward to playing live that like you never get tired of, even if you've got to play them a lot? Are there a couple of songs that come to mind that are always interesting for you, maybe because you can bring something different to it every night, or anything come to mind right away?
Feeling All Right. Oh, wait. Actually, I do. When I'm like, yeah, I do love to play that with Dave. But go ahead, Dave. Talk about your songs.
Certainly look at me, because it's just like, because it's anything that I've got that gives me a chance to do, as we were discussing earlier, I pretty much, there are songs that have a structure, but I always leave enough room for improvisation in some form. Like I'm not going to go ballistic if Alvino doesn't, hit that one beat right there at that thing, at that bar, at that time. It does, it doesn't matter to me. And then the guitar part, I get to, I'll pretty much play around what I know, but then I get to extemporize, stretch it out, or whatever. So Look at Me would be one, and it's mostly the ones with the guitar. I mean, recently, my little arrangement blues version of Low Spark of High Heel Boy.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, and I think when you talk about Look at You, Look at Me, and working on your book and doing research, I've listened to a lot of versions of that song from the early 70s to today. And it's amazing. No two are really alike. And that back end of the song, the solo portion for you, every one is a different adventure. And I encourage people to look those up. It's really incredible what you do with each one. And you kind of feel the years go on, and I think they get better and stronger as time goes on. You seem more exploratory with the solo, and it's up until the last couple of years. That song is just, what you do with it is remarkable.
Thanks. Thank you.
John, what about you?
In some ways, I think with the Doobies, with the songs sometimes that I look forward to are songs where I play an instrument that I don't get to play all that often or as much as just playing guitar. Like like South City Midnight Lady, I get to play pedal steel, and it's like, that's cool. That's fun to me because I love playing steel. Or Blackwater, I get to play violin, and Captain and Me, I get to play banjo. Toulouse Street, I get to play cello. The songs that I get to do something and like break away a little bit from playing guitar parts. Not that I don't like playing guitar, I do, but it just makes them a little special because I'm playing guitar through most of the show.
Right.
Generally, most of our songs. So.
On that note, Marilyn had asked for both of you, how many instruments do you each play? John,
one at a time. One at a time.
I kind of play one.
John, you got to be in double digits, right?
He, if his feet could work, he'd be playing with his feet. And
with John, they say if it has strings, he can play it.
Yeah, I get asked that question, and I probably should sit down and really try to figure it out, an honest answer, but I don't really have a good answer. It's, but most string instruments, and harmonica, and I don't know, but I really don't think about it. It's just something I do. I was having a conversation with my friend Jimmy Pugh just yesterday, I think it was, and Jimmy was Robert Cray's V3 player for 25 years, but he's now producing records and doing other stuff off the road. And he said, "Man, I've been working with these mariachi guys, and John, some of these guys are like you. They play trumpet, then they pick up the violin, and then they pick up the guitarron, and so they a bunch of them. It's not that unusual that they are multi-instrumentalists. So,
wow."
He's the talented one here. Me, I'm just.
Tom, when you came into the Doobies, it was an interesting time. I mean, Jeff Baxter had just left. They needed a guitar player. But what you brought really allowed them to do a lot more things. And, you just brought so much to the band. On that note, there's another interesting question here from Ron D. for you, John. Says the Doobies have seen a few drummers, bassists, and sax players over the years. What's the process that you, Pat, and Tom go through to select a new player? And it's true. You guys, the Doobies family expands. It has expanded so much over the years. How do you go about bringing somebody new into the fold?
Well, on the instruments you just mentioned, it's been a little bit different in each case, I think. I remember when Tyran first left the group, and we got Willie Weeks in, and that happened mainly because it was like, if we could possibly get Willie Weeks, let's get Willie Weeks, because he's the greatest. And we did. We made a mistake. He joined us. So Willie was fantastic. And so that happened because we kind of hunted him down because we were all fans. And in the case of saxophone, it's been a little bit of a different process in my tenure with the band. Like when Mark Russo came into the band, it was it was at my suggestion because I was such a fan of his from his work with the Yellow Jackets.
Right.
And so he didn't even have to audition. It was just like, oh, we need a new sax player. And I said, hey, I had hired, I was musical director for a Japanese artist named Yazawa, who's a huge star in Japan. And I once hired Mark Russo. And the way I hired him was the bass player on the tour was going to be George Hawkins. And George, and I said, I got to find a sax player. Yazawa wants a sax player. He says, well, why don't you call Mark Russo? I said, you know Mark Russo? Because in my mind, Mark Russo was untouchable because he was one of the Yellow Jackets. And he says, yeah, I worked with him with Kenny Loggins. And so that's how I got his phone number. So I had it when we needed a new sax player at that point, and Mark came in, and he's been there so long now. God, to be honest, I'm not even sure who he replaced at this point.
Well, I don't know.
And with drummers, when Ed Toth joined the band, we held auditions, and we had a number of people try out, and he just nailed it.
He's great.
An incredible drummer. Yeah, he's just so solid, and he's that was just, that was an actual audition situation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a little different for each instrument and each time that it's happened,
Guys, here's a question for both of you. We have a couple more questions here. Eric G wanted to know for both of you, what is your favorite venue or area to play? And now, you guys have both played Madison Square Garden. You've both played Red Rocks. When you think of really iconic venues around the country, around the world, are there one or two that stand out to both of you when you look back that was just sort of that remains the perfect setting and a place that you have fine performance memories from?
There are a lot of venues.
Yeah.
Dave.
I mean, my one of my all-time favorites who's no longer there, unfortunately, was the Miami Marine Stadium. And I played the last but one show that was ever performed there. And it was great. It was right on the water. And it was held about 8,000 people. And it was for, hydroplane or a high-speed boat race, for watching that. But they stuck a barge in front of the thing, and there were concerts, and that was pretty awesome. Charged like this 150-foot boat went out for the day.
Wow. Dave, you're always I always picture Dave at the Woolman skating rink in Central Park. John, I don't know if Clover ever played part of the Schaefer Music Festival there in the 70s, but Dave, that was always an incredible venue for you.
I did those a lot. And of course, Red Rocks is a great venue. Outside the U.S., I don't know because I don't really play outside the U.S. But mostly here in the U.S., Red Rocks is awesome venue. Yeah. I mean, then there's the Gorge, is a awesome spot.
It's gorgeous.
What about you, John?
Go, say.
Dave's right about all the venues he's talking about, but I actually, in recent years, one of my favorite venues probably is actually not that far from my home. It's Vino Robles in the Central California, sort of Paso Robles area. Yeah. There's a vineyard there, and they have this beautiful amphitheater. I've gone to see Tony Bennett there. I've gone there as a punter, as an audience member, but we've played there a number of times, and it's a really great place to go see music because everything's just right, and it's a beautiful setting, and they have a very together backstage. There's everything. There's plenty of room for everything and everybody, and it's just really a well-run operation. Yeah. That's a nice place, and I like the Mountain Winery in Saratoga up in Northern California.
Wine is a theme in your favorite venues.
It sounds like it, but this is sheer coincidence because these wineries are beautiful places.
They are. They really are.
About.
Now that's become that. You're right. That has become really in California, especially the new venue are the beautiful wineries, and there's a number of other ones as well that are just terrific. That allow you to you can go spend a whole day there, and then the show is at night, and it's really a nice experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But there's other nice venues throughout the country, of course. But these are the ones that come to mind for me right now.
I have one more question, and then we're going to give away a couple of gift packs here. I mean, Dave, I think your fans know you've played on records. You're on Street Fighting Man by the Rolling Stones. You've played with Hendrix. You've made appearances on other records that are really notable and very historic and are a matter of record. John, you have too, but I'm not sure people are as familiar with maybe a couple of your guest shots on records. Would you share a couple of those that you think surprise people? Because there's a few really notable ones, a lot of them.
Well, sure. Well, one that might surprise people, although some of the real fans know about it, is my pedal steel playing on the Mars Hotel album by the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that people don't know about it is I wasn't credited, and people assume that's Jerry Garcia. But that's one, and people find that interesting. That's kind of a cool credit to have. I think the work I did with Van Morrison, probably more people know about, but that was what an honor to play on Tupelo Honey album and St. Dominic's Preview, and play on Steve Miller's Fly Like an Eagle album. People probably know about that. Some of the ones that people don't know about is things that I played on a Link Ray album, Link Ray, okay, which I think is a cool credit.
What, Dave?
I didn't know all this yet. I'm learning.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's interesting. I think another one too that people may not be familiar with. Again, fans are, but playing with Elvis Costello. I mean, the guitar solo on Allison is something that's. So
yeah, I played all
that
the
solo,
lead
and that's you.
guitar. Yeah, I played all the lead guitar and pedal steel on the My Aim Is True album by Elvis Costello. But probably the best known lead guitar work I did is on Allison. Yeah, that's But that was Clover was the backup band on his first album. That was before he had the Attractions.
Right.
And but I played on a number of his albums since then too. That relationship's still going. So.
Well, again, between the two of you, I think what you both share, Dave and John, is that you've not just made great music on your own with your own bands, but you've added really noticeable, pieces of brilliance to other records, and I think that's really the mark of special artists.
I sometimes reflect on all the careers I've made. Oh wait, no, sorry. I have to joke about it. I've been so lucky to be part of all these records, like Dave's, Alone Together Again.
Well, listen, back to
very
that.
Lucky.
So, Dave, since we last spoke, you have a new video out for World in Changes, which is a incredible new reggae take on it.
A little reggae, a slight reggae feel to it. It's a cool
which is
video.
really cool and very apt with what's happening in the world today. People should check that out. They should go to DaveMasonMusic.com and get their special copy of Alone Together Again. They can hear John's work on there and your fine work as well. Today, why don't we give out our signed gift packs? We're going to go to Ron D, who asked about all the different Doobies players. And you're going to put your email, if you would, in the comment section, Ron. And then Diane in Tucson, do the same. Put your email in the comments, and you will receive a signed gift pack from Dave Mason. You guys, I want to tell you, it's having seen you both perform many times, I am really anxious to see you both perform many more times. So hopefully we can get to this really soon. But it's always, Dave, amazing to talk with you. John, same, man. This has been really generous of you with your time, and you're also so dry and funny. Hopefully, maybe if we're locked up anymore, you'll have a little talk show or something that could evolve out of this, because you're really good.
You just gave me a new idea for a name for Dave. Dave Amazing.
Hey.
Dave Amazing.
I like that.
Never mind.
The Amazing. Very nice. John, thank you. Dave, check the register that right away.
I want to go and be in the band with them and Michael. I want to go do that. I want to go play rhythm guitar with that band. I want to go.
Well, listen, I think when people saw the Feeling All Right thing was great, and I think there's going to be one thing people are going to maybe expect to see some of that collaborative stuff happen live, given what happened in quarantine, which could be amazing.
Get to share each again at some point. That would be great.
Cool.
I agree.
Hey, listen, everybody who's been watching all over the country and all over the world, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Jackson, our engineer here, thank you, man, for making this go smoothly. Dave and John, as always, you're both incredible, and it's a privilege to be chatting with you. And Dave, we'll see you soon. John will be in touch. And until then, again, go to DaveMasonMusic.com and check out Alone Together Again. And thank you for being part of our little journey here.
Thank you.
John, thanks for being here, man.